Imagine rocks moving across a vast, dry lakebed in the middle of the desert, without human hands touching them. That's the enigma of the sailing stones in Death Valley. These stones, some weighing hundreds of pounds, mysteriously glide across the dry mudflats, leaving trails that defy explanation. For decades, scientists have puzzled over this phenomenon, trying to understand how these rocks move and what causes their mysterious paths. Join us as we dive into the top 10 points that unravel the mystery of the sailing stones in Death Valley. Number 10. A rare natural phenomenon. What if the sailing stones are not just a curiosity, but a rare glimpse into nature's most fascinating secrets? The sailing stones of Death Valley are a unique geological phenomenon found only in a few places around the world. These stones, some weighing up to 700 pounds, glide across the Racetrack Playa, leaving trails behind them as they move. Scientists have been studying these rocks for decades, but the cause of their movement is still largely unknown. What's most baffling is that these rocks don't just move in a straight line. They can travel in arcs or zigzags, leaving complex trails that challenge our understanding of physics. Could these stones be sending a message from the past, telling us about ancient climatic conditions? The mystery deepens with each new observation. Number 9. Mysterious trails. Across the playa. Imagine walking through the Racetrack Playa and seeing rock trails stretching for hundreds of feet. How could rocks move like this? The trails left by the sailing stones are often more than 1,000 feet long. These marks are like the footprints of an invisible giant, etched into the surface of the playa. The stones' movements are not just random. They follow patterns that change with the seasons. Some rocks even move in circles or figure-8 patterns. Scientists have studied these trails in detail, but the cause of the stones' movement remains elusive. Could the trails be the result of wind or ice pushing the rocks? The unusual nature of these trails has led to theories that involve complex interactions between the stones and the environment. What if the answer isn't just one factor, but a combination of several? Number 8. Occasional witnesses to movement. What if no one had ever seen the sailing stones move? Despite the enigma surrounding these rocks, there have been a few reports of people witnessing their movement. These sightings are rare and often short-lived, which makes documenting the phenomenon difficult. Some reports describe seeing the rocks move slowly, as if they're pushed by an unseen force. What's even stranger is that the stones don't move every year. Conditions must be just right for their movement. Could there be a specific set of environmental factors that trigger their movement? The mystery deepens as each sighting is more anecdotal than scientific. Could the key to unlocking this puzzle be in understanding the micro-climates of Death Valley? The few eyewitness accounts provide tantalizing clues, but leave many questions unanswered. Number 7. Conditions needed for movement. What if understanding the sailing stone's movement means deciphering the perfect set of climatic conditions? The rocks move when the playa's surface is covered with a thin layer of water, just a few millimeters deep. This water creates a slippery film, allowing the stones to slide across the surface with minimal friction. When the playa dries out, the movement halts, and the stones are left stationary. This means that the mysterious rocks only move during certain periods, typically in winter or after a rain. What if the key to the stone's movement is in the way ice forms or water flows across the playa? Could wind patterns and temperature changes play a role in how these rocks move? The challenge for scientists is to recreate these conditions in a controlled environment to understand how the movement occurs. Number 6. Role of wind and ice. Imagine a dry lakebed, calm one minute, stormy the next. How could wind and ice be responsible for these rock movements? While many believe wind is a key factor in moving the sailing stones, some scientists think ice might also play a crucial role. Wind can create a thin film of water on the surface of the playa, which makes the rocks glide. As the wind blows, it can push the stones, making them slide across the mud. Ice, on the other hand, could be responsible for moving the rocks in the winter. When temperatures drop, water freezes around the stones, lifting them slightly, making it easier for the wind to push them. Could this be why the rocks move in erratic patterns with no clear direction? The interaction between wind, water, and ice might be more complex than initially thought. The mystery of the sailing stones remains unsolved, with more questions than answers. Number 5. The role of surface conditions. What if the surface of the playa itself is the key to understanding the movement of the stones? The Racetrack Playa is known for its unique mud surface, an alkaline lakebed that hardens when dry. This surface can become very smooth, allowing the stones to glide easily when water is present. When the playa is dry, it's almost like glass, providing the perfect environment for the stones to move. The thin water layer acts as a lubricant, reducing friction. What if the stones are sliding over a hidden layer of mud that only becomes apparent when the playa is wet? Could the answer be in how the mud compacts or loosens under different climatic conditions? The surface conditions are crucial in determining whether the stones can move, making this a key focus for scientists studying the phenomenon. Number 4. The influence of seasonal changes. What if the sailing stones only move during certain seasons? How does that affect our understanding of this phenomenon? Most of the rock movement occurs in winter, when the playa's surface is covered by water. During summer, the stones are usually stationary, with the playa dry and cracked. Seasonal changes are a critical factor in the rock's movements. Could this be related to the formation of ice on the surface, which can create a slippery environment for the stones to move? The interplay between temperature, rainfall, and seasonal winds affects how the stones move. What if understanding these seasonal patterns is the key to unlocking the mystery of the sailing stones? Could changes in the Earth's orbit or climate patterns be influencing the conditions that allow these rocks to move? The seasonal clues are subtle, but essential in solving the puzzle. Number 3. The theory of magnetic anomalies. Imagine a world where rocks move on their own. What if it's not just wind or ice, but something more extraordinary? Some scientists have proposed that magnetic anomalies could be responsible for the movement of the sailing stones. They suggest that underground magnetic fields might affect the rock's movement. As the playa dries and the stones are exposed, these magnetic fields could push the rocks in unpredictable ways. Could there be hidden magnetic sources under the Racetrack Playa, influencing the rock's paths? The idea is controversial, but it's one of the most intriguing theories, adding a new layer of complexity to the mystery. Could there be a magnetic explanation that could help us understand other unusual geological phenomena around the world? The potential for underground magnetic anomalies to influence rock movement is a tantalizing possibility. Number 2. The role of wet conditions. What if the rocks only move under certain conditions? What makes the playa wet enough to allow the stones to glide? Research suggests that the rocks start moving when the playa is covered with just a few millimeters of water, enough to create a slippery layer, but not so much to flood the playa. This water creates a lubricating effect, allowing the stones to move with very little friction. The rock's movement is controlled by the depth and distribution of water on the playa. Could the wet conditions be influenced by nearby weather systems or shifts in climate? Understanding how these conditions change could hold the key to predicting when the stones might move next. Could this be why the rocks don't move every year, even when conditions seem right? The variability in wet conditions adds another layer of complexity to the mystery. Number 1. The need for further study. Imagine if we could solve the mystery once and for all. What if the sailing stones could finally give up their secrets? Despite decades of research, scientists still don't fully understand how these rocks move. The phenomenon remains one of the most intriguing unsolved mysteries in geology. Future studies could involve creating controlled experiments to replicate the conditions found on the Racetrack Playa, using simulations of wind, ice, and water to understand how they affect rock movement. The search for answers is ongoing, with new technologies like drones and GPS tracking being used to monitor the rocks. What if a breakthrough could come from studying similar phenomena in other parts of the world? Could the sailing stones hold the key to understanding other strange geological events across the planet? The quest for knowledge continues as scientists strive to unlock the secrets of the Racetrack Playa and its mysterious rocks. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to stay updated with our latest videos on YouTube.